What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. I get a lot of questions in my comment section from very intelligent people, not even just very intelligent black people, but very intelligent people who are too intelligent to understand how stupid some of us could be for voting for Donald Trump. And all I can say is the American educational system has done a number on us, right? And I think it shows the lack of civics education, the lack of government education, the lack of overall education. And a lot of these kids who are voting for or wanting to vote for Donald Trump, they're highly uneducated, but they're highly motivated in their uneducation, right? And they asked me to explain it, and the only way I can explain it is that these children, and some of them are adults, but they're mentally children, right? Y'all know what I mean? They're mentally children. The only way that I can explain is most likely they're probably just ignorant, illiterate, unschooled, untaught, uninformed, unlearned, unlettered, inexperienced, unknowledgeable, simple-minded, uncultivated, unrefined. That's the only way I can put it. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put 2 clips here that probably can do a better explanation of explaining it to me. Anyway, that's all I got to say. Is Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach them. I'm out.
When you say you're not voting for Kamala, we get it. We know who you are. You would rather back the candidate who the Klan backs. Because even if you're not voting for Trump and you're not voting for her, you're still a black person who is refusing to vote for an educated, qualified person of color who is running for president. And it just shows us your ancestors were more like this. You're wondering who that lady is up there on that steed. Because Negroes like you don't like that. You'd rather us be out there in the plantations and the fields than to be seen higher than a white man. We see you. We understand. But regardless of how you feel about her, she definitely ain't a white man. And she definitely ain't a white man that's backed by the Klan. So we have no other choice but to think your ancestors acted like this. And you look like this to me. Because I know your ancestors didn't look like this. Definitely not like this. You could never. This ain't your people. This ain't you. We know this ain't you. Nah, player. Could you imagine any of them saying, I'm not voting for a qualified black candidate? Could you imagine any of them saying, I'm not voting for a qualified person of color? I know y'all think y'all be eating when you say stuff like this, but really you just show us that all skin folks ain't kin folks. So go enjoy your KKK supportive day, I guess.
Some of you young people are not making any sense whatsoever. It reminds me, it tells me that we have failed you. Because some of you are contemplating, seriously contemplating, voting for white supremacists. A white supremacist in particular, Donald Trump, and a white supremacist organization, MAGA, and a white supremacist agenda, Project 2025. I don't understand what you all are thinking. Some of you think that you are protesting the Democrats. Listen, we're well beyond that in this election. I won't get into the fact that it was the Democrats who enacted the Civil Rights Act, which allows you all to enjoy the freedoms that you have right now, or the Voting Rights Act, which protects your right to vote, or the Fair Housing Act that protects your right to live wherever you want to live. All that came through the Democratic Party. That was not the GOP. I won't talk about all the things that Democrats have done in the last 75 or 80 years for African American people. I won't talk about that. Let me just talk about the fact that you are voting for somebody who is as vile and despicable as people like Jefferson Davis, Robert E. Lee, Lester Maddox, George Wallace, David Duke. I mean, reprehensible people who despise your guts. And here you all are thinking about voting for such people. And it's because you don't have a point of reference. You're young. You probably don't know the people that I just mentioned. And that's part of the problem. You don't know Robert E. Lee. You don't know Jefferson Davis. You don't know who George Wallace is. You don't know who Lester Maddox was. You don't know Jesse Helms. You don't know Strom Thurmond. You don't know these people. But those are the people that you are about to vote for. You're voting for their descendants. You're voting for their descendants, and they are sworn. They have sworn to do everything they can to keep you and me, people like us, melanated people, from having any sort of progress. We have been fighting these people for 400 years. And here you are about to vote for them and make a huge mistake. A lot of us, a lot of you didn't vote in 2016. Trump thanked you for not voting or for voting him. And what did he do? Oh my God. He appointed 3 of the most right-wing justices on the United States Supreme Court. And for the next 30 or 40 years, those justices are going to be on the court dismantling every freaking benefit, every right, every doggone law that we have fought and obtained over the last, again, 70, 80 years. So you talk about the Civil Rights Act, they're going after that. The Voting Rights Act, they've already basically gutted that. The Fair Housing Act, Trump tried to get rid of that in his first administration. The 14th Amendment, which gives us citizenship rights, due process rights, equal protection under the law, they're going after that. And you, young people, when I say young people, some of you are older, some of you are old enough to know better. You're in your 40s and 50s. But you're not reading, you're not researching, you're not using your head, you're not thinking, you're not doing critical thinking. You have been, and I'm actually being nice right here, you have been victimized by disinformation. There are a lot of people in the GOP, the Republican Party, who spend a lot of money misleading you folks. They spend a lot of money. They spend a lot of money getting their operatives on places like The Breakfast Club, Joe Budden, the Joe Budden podcast, and many other YouTube channels, and so on, and they put out all kinds of disinformation. And you don't know any better. Because again, you have not been reading and researching and trying to find out what's really going on so that you can be an informed voter. And so here you again in 2024, 8 years after many of you didn't vote and allowed Trump to take office in 2016 and just do all sorts of things, you're about to make the same mistake again. And the rest of us, we got to live with it. We got to live with the choices you are about to make. And that's so freaking sad, and it's frustrating, quite frankly. Because we don't need to go back. We don't need to let them take us back, make America great again. What is that other than going back to Jim Crow? And yet you're empowering them to do that. I'm talking to you, younger African-American men especially, who are about to vote for a white supremacist over a black woman. You're out here saying she's not black. You're out here saying all kinds of things against her. And yet the alternative is an avowed white supremacist who despises you as a black person. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.